Hey, what's up, my travelers? I hope you're treating yourself well. Um, so yeah, today I was asked, or yesterday, or the day before, anyway, I was asked to make a video about psychic self-defense, or like recommend some techniques or whatever. Now, this is a pretty like large subject because you could be attacked by a being on the Earth plane, like an actual human. You could be attacked by yourself. A lot of the time, people just kind of like damage themselves. They just torture themselves and they think it's being attacked by an exterior force. So you have to be careful about that. Or you could be talking about actual spiritual psychic defense as you're like traveling in your inner world or as you're dreaming, or just astral traveling, whatever word you want to put to it. It's just traveling into the invisible if you want. These are all kind of like three different things, but to really master the art and the science of self defense, you have to master your mind. You have to understand that your mind is your tool and that you are not a tool of your mind. Most people are so attached to what they think, and I mean, we're all kind of like, um, we're all kind of like, I'm missing the word there. We're all kind of like victim of that because we're humans, right? So like our mind and our direct experience really influences us, and we have to learn kind of like how to detach ourselves from our mind if we truly want to have a good hold of it. It's kind of like a paradox, you know. Um, so I mean, any technique that you do, and I mean, you can do your own technique. Something you really attach your essence to is really going to be more powerful than anything. So, like, you could get techniques from other people and inspiration, but you really have kind of like to believe in it, or you really have to embody it. I mean, if I say like you have to say abracadabrim boom, but you don't really give any energy to it, you're just saying this because you're saying this, it's not going to work, you know. A lot of the actual defense aspect deals with having a focus and being able to direct your will, being able to suppress unwanted thoughts, being able to remember what you're thinking about, being able to hold a certain thought. Now, three exercises that could help you do that. um, you could do it for 5 minutes, you know, just in the twice a day, 5 minutes, let's say, and you can kind of like add a minute per day, but you're going to see it's a hard exercise. When you wake up in the morning, or like let's say before noon, before the sun has traveled to the medium coeli in the sky, so about before noon. This is how I like to do it, but this is just my mind I'm using as a tool. um, you go and meditate for 5 minutes and try just to see what thoughts are coming to you and try to remember everything. Try to remember everything you thought of in those 5 minutes. I'm not gonna tell you what it does because the more I give like pointers and stuff, it might make you focus on the wrong thing, or you know, I haven't understood the whole spectrum of the exercise yet. So just me saying like, oh, it does this and that is gonna maybe lower your own level. But try to do that. 5 minutes in the morning, you just sit and you think and you try to remember everything you thought of in these 5 minutes, you know. Um, there are really like no rules to it. You could try to do it your own way, but you're gonna see that it's kind of hard at the beginning to remember what you thought about. And perhaps even you're going to be thinking about something, and at one point you're going to get lost in your thoughts, and then you're gonna come back to your meditation, kind of like, oh yeah, it's true, I was trying to do that, and then you're gonna notice that you spent a lot of energy on that thought, but you don't even remember it. This can kind of be a pointer that something is draining energy from you, and you're not fully aware of it, you know. So you have to continue doing the exercise, continue trying to know yourself, you know, so that you can move on with it. So try to remember your thoughts for 5 minutes. You can add a minute a day, but do this regularly. I like to do it one in the morning before like the sun has crossed like the north of the sky astrologically. So that's usually at like noon. But like, you know, since the hour and time and the days aren't really matching like exactly like the skies and stuff, might be noon and a half, whatever. Try to do it in the morning and before going to bed or like at night, you know. Um, So that's so you could know what's in your mind, because it's important. If you want to really have a good grasp of like your defense, you have to know what's attacking you. You have to know what's holding your attention. Once you've done that, second exercise, I mean, you could all do them in a row. And, another 5 minutes, try to suppress any thought that come to you. Try to, anything that comes, don't judge it. Just suppress it down, or have your own way of just not thinking about it. Practice yourself just blocking thoughts coming to you, because if you block things and it's not even in your experience, it's not going to be able to attack you. Third exercise, hold a single thought for 5 minutes. And you could add some time every day, but 5 minutes at the beginning is very hard just to do, so hold a thought for 5 minutes. Because if you want to put up a shield or something, if you can't hold your thought, or if you're not able to truly show your higher self, or however you want to call it, that this is the thought you want to impregnate in your experience, you're not going to be able to shield yourself in the right way. Or, you might be able, but it's not going to last, and you're always going to kind of fail at it somehow. So this is just so you could get a better understanding of your thoughts. It's really simple, universal meditation techniques that can help you build. So I'm kind of like trying to push meditation at the same time. But if we really want to go and talk about actual techniques, I'll speak like from my own experience, things that I enjoy doing. Now, I've meditated about this question a little bit, like the question of self-defense. And I think there might be more, but the way I perceive it, the way I've constructed it in my own mind, is that there are 3 ways of dealing with an attack. You can either defend yourself, you can either attack, or you can just be passive and ignore it. So most of the time, just ignoring it will work. But we have trouble really suppressing our thoughts. We don't even know what we're thinking about. So being passive often, it doesn't really work. It's practicing non-attachment to what's coming. And if you're not feeding it energy, if you're not even giving attention to it, it will have nothing to latch onto. This is also why a lot of the time we're kind of like dissing ourselves. We're casting a curse upon ourselves because we feel guilty about stuff. So through our psyche, we condense a pattern that we do not want to live. Okay, so we're always living it back. But if you're able to suppress that pattern, suppress that thought, you're not gonna feel it. If someone is cursing you and you haven't opened up the door to cursing yourself, you're not gonna receive it in a sense, because you're not a match to the vibration they're outputting. If someone is cursing you and you're really feeling cursed, it's because you have a kind of an energetic debt towards that person, or you feel like you should be getting cursed. You can't curse someone who's really holy. You can't really curse the saint, because they're not a match to the hatred and vibration that you're sending. The door hasn't opened for them to send it, so it's not open for them to really receive it. So being passive or just ignoring it is one of the most, if not actually like the most potent way of just not being attacked. Because the person, if they're really attacking you and you're not feeling it, they're going to be draining themselves, and sooner or later they're just going to be drained out, and you're never going to have felt anything. But a lot of the actual alchemy of life is also dealing with energy and transmuting it into something better. Now, something that I like to do, if someone is sending me energy, I'm open to that. I've done some dark deeds in my life. Like, nobody is really perfect. Nobody is really a saint at 100%. So sometimes I feel it, especially when I do things on my path that I feel aren't meant for me. Like if I'm drinking, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but for me, I have like health problems, so if I do it, it's pretty bad. So if I'm drinking alcohol, or if I'm smoking like some tobacco or something like that, these products have been energetically impregnated by a whole lot of people, by even sometimes the people who produce the products. So if I'm intaking it through, I'm kind of like cursing myself, I'm allowing myself to absorb something, so all the energies coming with it will attack me. And if I'm feeling really attacked by it, if I'm feeling like cursed by what I just took because I just smoked some like weed with like tobacco from like a company that I diss usually, and I'm just like, oh, whatever, like I'm going to feel like the energetic beings behind that brand, behind that company, they're gonna come and attack me. So when I'm feeling that, I can either feel passive, as I said, or I can try to transmute the energy into something better, you know? I can try to feel the energy and raise it up my higher center. So if someone is attacking me, I can, and you know, it's all intuitive, but they're throwing some energy and you're just focusing on your center. When you know, you're always a reflection of what's around, and what's around is a reflection of you. So if someone is getting in your surroundings energetically or whatever, if you're starting to see like weird shit happen and you're feeling attacked, if you're staying in your center, your center is more powerful than their lower vibration, you know? So you're gonna equalize this stuff. You're gonna make magic happen from the energy they're sending you. You're not even going to have to use some of your own energy because they're just freely giving you some, and you're being in a loving centered vibration, so you could just take it and use it as you wish. And that's alchemy. That's turning Saturn into the sun. That's turning lead into gold. Okay, density into spiritual energy and vitality, you know? So you could, I don't believe it's good to actually vamp on other beings, but I mean, we're doing it when we're eating in a way. But if someone is sending you energy, eat that shit, dog. Yo, it's really good, you know? You just eat it and transmute it into what you want. But this is one of the secrets of alchemy, you know? It's a pretty complicated process if you don't have a grasp over your mind. It's why meditating is important. Now, you could also defend yourself. A lot of people do this, you know? Create yourself your tools. Because as much as there are tools in like the physical world, you could also have your psychic or astral arsenal. So a lot of people like to picture themselves being surrounded by white light. Perhaps you could picture yourself being surrounded. I had a friend who was surrounded by light swords, he said, that just going around him, you know? Pick some imagery that you really like, that protects you, that makes you feel kind of like powerful, that like no darker entity can go through. Some people like to imagine a shield popping around them, you know, or perhaps a color. What I personally like, what I was taught in a dream, was that I could, but this is also depending on like your own psychic makeup. Astrology is really good to tell you how you could defend yourself, where your Mars is placed, where your Saturn is placed, where like different things are placed. It's gonna tell you your own style of handling the energy, right? Where your Sun is placed also a lot. Kind of like everything kind of matches together in a way. Okay, everything works together to protect yourself, but you have to know yourself, know thyself, to truly know how to defend yourself. But me having Mars in Leo, trine Jupiter in Sag, and my Mars is in the first house and my Sag in the 5th house, means that I have a lot of fire that I can bring, and it's kind of like a righteous fire since it's Jupiter, and it expands quickly. So I noticed in my dream, I was taught that I could actually expand fire from my being. Like, I'm not doing it right now really, but because it kind of gets energy to me, but fire for me alchemically, it purifies, and at the same time it energizes me, it boosts my aura, makes it bigger, and it burns all the density, you know? You're throwing me energy, I'm gonna burn it up with my fire, and the more you throw, the more the fire will consume the darkness you're sending me. So that's one way of doing it. I also like reciting mantras, okay? But this is because one of my spirit guide, if you want, is a Hindu deity. Now, I don't practice the actual like religion aspect of it, but I've repeated like the mantras like thousands and thousands and probably like, you know, thousands of times. So if I'm finding myself in a bad dream like I did once, like I was all in this darkness, you know, but I knew I was in a dream. I knew like it was fucked up, but I didn't really want to escape it because you know, a dream is like your own demons. You know, it's kind of like your subconscious, and I'm gonna make a video about that. But so yeah, I was like in this dark place, you know, and everything was like in dark and white, and I could see like darkness like traveling around, and I was like lucid dreaming. I was like, oh shit, like I'm really having like trouble right now actually focusing my mind on something else. Especially like when you're dreaming, your mind is way less focused. You could be knowing that you dream sometimes, but you're still being driven by the flow of your own subconscious, right? So I was in my dream and I just started reciting my mantra that I always recite. And you know, the whole dream started shifting. It was like, and I was like, holy shit, will I see like the deity? Like, what am I going to manifest? And what I manifested really wasn't, I didn't see the entity, but it kind of brought me, it's kind of like, you know, those, kind of getting sidetracked, but I'm having fun right now. It's kind of like, you know, like those sometimes in shows, especially like in Christmas shows on TV or whatever, like the ghost of Christmas comes to see the bad guy sleeping at night, and the ghost kind of brings the person to see all the bad deeds that they've done so that they could really know like how they're evil, because sometimes we're not aware of the bad we've done because it's buried so deep down in our consciousness. So that's kind of what the mantra did. Like, I felt like I was in the dark spot. Everything I recited the mantra, I thought it was gonna bring me into a good spot, but no, like the actual energy was like, no, 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 you're going to work on your own karma, you know. So this brings me to say also that a lot of what we're experiencing is actually our own fault, you know. It's actually our own doing. We like to say that it's coming from the exterior, but everything that is within is without. Everything that is above is below. So if you want to influence your exterior, start by influencing your interior. If you want to influence your spirit, influence your body. If you want to influence your body, influence your spirit. That's why it's good also while doing the meditative exercises to actually do some yoga. Because the more flexible your body comes, the more flexible your mind would be. The more focused your mind is, the more focused you will be with your physical self, the more you're going to be able to direct energy. This is also if you're practicing martial arts, it's really useful. Yeah, now the good part. I'm improvising this, you know, so I have to remain balanced at the same time. You're getting attacked? Attacking might be a good way of defending yourself, but really, you shouldn't do that in a way, because it just means that you weren't able to control your own psyche enough to be passive and to kind of, you know, dodge like what's coming at you. You weren't strong enough. Sorry. You weren't strong enough to actually put up a shield and hold the thought for long enough for you to actually burn out the energy of the person attacking you. So now you feel the need to strike so that you could actually defend yourself. And you're never going to need to do something like this to an actual being in your dreams, you know. Never go and attack a being in your dreams like that. But sometimes if someone is like causing you trouble, if they threaten you or threaten a friend, and I'm not for curses, you can see my how to curse video to see what I really think about curses. But sometimes you can bind someone away from a place. I wouldn't throw like the binding on the person, but I would throw the protection around the house or the person you want to protect. So, you know, you could make it so if someone approaches this person, bad shit starts happening to them. Or if someone attacks you, you send back the energy, kinda, you know, back at you. But I don't want to talk too much about attacking, because as I'm talking about it, I realize that it's really of no use. It's only like as a last resort, and it just means that you're not ready to fully defend yourself or fully deal with your own demons. Instead of like dealing with your own darkness, you're feeling the way to throw light at darkness outside, but the darkness is always going to be inside of you. The more you throw your light out, the less you have for yourself, in a sense. Even though if you light a light, it still lights up the whole, fire can be shared in a way. But the more you throw, I guess what I should be saying is the more you throw fire, the more you're going to consume yourself, because fire consumes. So attacking really shows that you're not aware of what you're doing. Plus, don't forget that as you're lighting up a candle, as a light is lit in this world, it's going to cast its own shadows according to what's around, right? So why would you try to cast a shadow when you can really just cast your own light, and the perfect balance between shadow and light will be done then? So that's what I had to say about psychic defense. Shields, light, mantras. Knowing yourself is the most important most important thing, because no one can fuck with you if you know yourself. I also would advise you, if you wish to keep a journal of all your bad deeds, of all your good deeds also. Think of everything that you've done that you're not proud of, and write it in a secret diary of so that you know all of your own darkness, so that when darkness comes at you and tell you, haha, remember that time when you stole that candy bar, blah, 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 you're gonna be like, yeah, I know that time. I've actually integrated it in my psyche. I know myself, so it doesn't affect me anymore. So, that's what I had to say. Yo,